Today I want to talk about my version of the continual evolution of mud racing and really take it back to the early stages of Trucks Gone Wild. And in doing so, I'm going to mention a number of different people today, but I want to focus on two main guys and their contributions and what a big deal they played in that evolution that I'm talking about. So, guy number one is Daryl Jones, and Daryl owned Lee County Mud Motorsports Park in Sanford, North Carolina. And guy number two is Ken Wing Sr., who owned Ken's Tough Trucks out of Longwood and Sanford. And I didn't even make the Sanford and Sanford connection until earlier today, about an hour ago. I thought, oh, well, that's pretty interesting. So before we get started with the story, though, I want to make sure that I don't know if those two gentlemen ever met. I have no idea. And they are both no longer with us. They each passed away in the last couple of years. So this video is not only a trip down memory lane, but it's almost like a tribute to them, or just a mild show of appreciation from myself to them for being there's so many different things in the past that led up and made everything so good now, and these guys were a big part of it. And to me, it's a fun story to tell. I think if you can make it to the end, I think you will enjoy this story. It's one of my favorite ones. That being said, I have no idea how long this is going to go. It's not like I rehearse these. So I get in there, I tell the story, and I get out. So if you have a couple minutes, great. Hang on. Now, it all starts in the early stages of Trucks Gone Wild. We're probably, let's say 2 or 3 years in, and people are starting to contact us and they want us to come to their events. We really hadn't started traveling yet. The first guy to do that was Gary Bauer from Yankee Lake Truck Night, because we knew Gary from Monster Jam, and he's like, hey, you guys have to come up here and see what we're doing. So we did. It was awesome. Now, Daryl contacted us right around the same time. Again, I'm going back quite a ways, so I don't know exactly, but Daryl, I don't know if he called me or sent me an email. He goes, hey, man, I know how you guys do it down there. I know it's a big deal. We do it a little bit differently up here. It's a hill and hole type thing. I had not seen that at the time. He goes, I want you guys to come up and take a look at it. Okay, great. So we put a deal together. We go up there, we show up, and we're there. And I got to say this before I go any further. Daryl and his family and his team, they treated us just beautifully. They were wonderful. And we go up there and we're taking in the event. Dennis Anderson's there. Ryan's there. The Shock and All crew. All these dudes that we still know are out there racing. In fact, I think I met Ricky B there too, if I'm not mistaken. Ricky, if we met elsewhere, I apologize. But I know we hung out a lot in Sanford. And that was pretty cool. But we're watching the event. And yeah, it's hill and hole, right? There's little hills in the mud pit, so that the trucks are having to jump and everything. It was vastly different, and we really enjoyed it. And we're like, man, we need to take this back down south and just tweak it just a little bit, to our crew. So I'm talking to Daryl at the event, and he's like, what do you think? I go, dude, this is great. We're really enjoying it. I go, we've got to steal this idea and take it down south, right? And he's laughing. He goes, that's exactly why I brought you guys here. He goes, I wanted you to be exposed to this, and I wanted you guys to take the ball and run with it. I think that was his whole plan. And boy, was he right. So, all right, we're done with that. Now we're shifting down south, and we're doing an event at Bithlo a couple months later than that, And I think Wes had done a hill and hole there prior to us, but this was going to be our first Trucks Gone Wild hill and hole at Bithlo. We're working with Wes. They brought in some dirt into things. Brian Nichols built all of our tracks, and he got the jumps looking all big and beautiful. And I mean, it was very nice. And I'm handling stuff before the show. I'm not really paying attention. And then I look to the track, and let's say it's over here to the side. And I remember thinking to myself, those jumps are big, like way bigger than the ones that they had in the track in North Carolina. So I kind of see Brian, and it's been a lot of work to build this track, so it's not like they're going to change it. And Brian was always kind of like, I don't want to say like smart aleck, but he was always funny. And that's what I loved about him. I was like, Brian, those jumps are pretty big, huh? He goes, yep, going to be a great show, isn't it? I'm like, all right. So that was how that went. Now we're at the driver's meeting. And we had a good truck turnout that day. A good truck turnout back then was probably 25, 30 trucks, something like that. And everybody's standing around in the circle. And I'm thinking, all right, I got to run this driver's meeting, and then we'll get started. It'll be nothing to it. And one guy, before I even got anything out, he goes, are you guys trying to kill us? And everybody kind of starts laughing. He didn't mean that literally, of course, but he was implying that the jumps were quite large. And I was just kind of like, man, we're not controlling how fast you go. Just do whatever you're comfortable with, the typical thing that you would say. And then all of a sudden, this is where Ken Wing Sr. comes in. Ken Wing just steamrolls the driver's meeting, takes it completely over. And he's like, I ain't lifting. And if anybody lifts, you're a like he said the word that I can't say because I keep this clean. I keep this channel pretty clean. But he was referring to a part of the female anatomy that's involved in the reproductive system, and that anybody who was going to lift this particular day was in fact that part of the body. Basically, like a hush fell over the crowd, right? Because he just called everybody out and said, "Do it, man up." One thing about me is when times are uncomfortable, they're not bad, but just when it's kind of uncomfortable, like that moment was, man, I just relish in it. And in my head, I'm just like, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just gonna see how this plays out, you know. And then all of a sudden, like the guys are all like, "Oh, well," you heard everybody just go, "Well, I guess I know what we got to do now." And then one dude, he goes, "Well, he goes, I've been looking for a reason to rebuild my truck. I guess I could just go out there and destroy it today." And everybody starts laughing, you know. And then that was the icebreaker on the day. And we lit into that hill and hole mud race, like the first one we had done with those big jumps, dude. And it was crazy. It was awesome. So I want to make sure that I don't edit these. It's just me talking, right? But I do say this. In Trucks Gone Wild 4, if you have the DVD, the fourth track is our time at our introduction to hill and hole mud racing in Sanford. That video to this day is one of my favorite ones for whatever reason. That's just that little piece, that little 5, 6, 7 minutes. I absolutely love it. So you can also go on the Trucks Gone Wild YouTube channel and just look up Trucks Gone Wild 4, and then just scroll over to the fourth track where you see the North Carolina, and you'll see that. Now, our deal that we did at Bithlo is the opening track on Trucks Gone Wild Volume 6. I just looked that up today. Same deal. YouTube, Trucks Gone Wild 6, it's going to be the opening sequence. And it's funny because that day, that was one of those days at Bithlo where you're just watching this going, this is one of the greatest events I've ever been to in my life. One of the things that I say on TGW Live so often is that those of us that do this together, especially if you've been in this for a while, the dysfunctional family, man, we forget more fun and cool stuff than most people ever get to have in their life. And we are so lucky to have that. I feel so fortunate to have been on this ride. And I will tell you this, I'm going to do everything that I can do to keep it going for as long as possible. So if you made it to the end of the video, please let me know in the comments. And if you like these little trips down memory lane, let me know those too, because I love telling the stories. It's fun to look back, and it's fun to remember certain individuals and what they did and everything. So thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys next time on another trip down memory lane, whatever we talk about. See you.